Please join me for a moment of prayer. Spirit of life, vast and good, bless the medical professionals who are working overtime and over capacity. Bless their hands and bless their hearts. Bless the patients in hospitals around our country. Bless the families who are hurting, who are afraid, who have lost too much already. Bless our kindred who have lost jobs or a small business. Bless our kindred who stay home, and bless those who can't stay home. Spirit, as we enter into the darkest day of the year, may the dark somehow bring us hope. May it bring us comfort. May it bring us peace. And may it bring us together. As the pandemic rages around us, hear our prayer for life, for love, and for each other. Blessed be, and amen. I have never been a fan of the short, dark days. As much as I've always gotten from the holidays, I find the dark and cold exhausting. Maybe that's why I said yes to California 7 years ago. At least it wouldn't be cold. But I have to admit, the winter solstice takes on a different meaning to me this year. Usually, I celebrate it as one of potential, where the light returns. But this year, I find myself leaning into the darkness. The light has its place, but darkness has beauty to show us too. Those that know me well know that I have truly atrocious night vision. I've never been able to see in the dark. Even after 20 minutes, my eyes barely adapt. I know to leave myself trails of light in my house because, embarrassingly enough, I have run into walls. During the day, I still have 20/20 vision. But at night, let's just say my vision is the new definition of 20/20. Curse words I'll refrain from using in worship. It's a perfect metaphor because it's the year with so many twists and turns that truly we have no idea where we're going. And no matter how long it's been, we can't quite adapt. And with this seemingly endless night we're living through, I have to wonder if the darkness has a message for us. Because maybe we don't need to adapt to the darkness in order to gain its wisdom. One of the things that I love about winter in California is the opportunity to look at the stars. Growing up in New York City, it was simply too bright on our streets to see anything. When I had the opportunity to see the stars, I found them miraculous, awe-inspiring, because the light that I was accustomed to, the light that we think of as illuminating, actually concealed the truth and wonder of our extraordinary universe. So I know that darkness can be a gift because there's so much we can only see at night. And just like the light can obscure the larger truths in the sky, the experiences right in front of us can obscure the bigger picture. It's daunting to come away from our own personal trauma from the year. As I said last week, we're exhausted, we're scared, and we're plagued by grief that continues to push us to our breaking point. But when we stop, the trauma actually has something to tell us about our connection, about the universe in darkness. Listening to the wisdom of our pain, we realize just how alike we really are, how deeply we all hunger for connection, how vital it is that we be valued, that our inherent worth and dignity means that all of us deserve to be loved, deserve to be respected, deserve to have the same opportunities for joy in this life. Sitting still with our shared trauma has inspired a deeper empathy for one another, one that I think was lost when we were on the go. Looking back on the year, we can't ignore the reckoning our nation faces with regard to racism and police brutality. It has permeated all aspects of our life. And in many ways, the pandemic has shown us why we can't look away. We may not all agree on the specific solutions being proposed, but we generally tend to agree that Black lives do matter, and that as a nation, we aren't meeting that truth with how we govern, police, or care for others. And even this basic poi was lost on many in our society until May. But with the pandemic keeping us still, closed off, not looking in front of us, but rather looking around, those of us with privilege saw some things differently for the first time. An urgency to change our racist society that had obviously been felt for generations among people of color, but was only just beginning for those who are white. Two of the most gut-wrenching stories of police brutality and racial violence took place in the dark of night. Breonna Taylor's life was stolen from her, and the police officers responsible will never be held accountable. One of the reasons why Breonna's story was different from so many others was that it actually wasn't caught on tape. In May, as people chanted, "Say his name" about George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, Taylor's story was often glossed over. But the darkness of the pandemic that allowed for so many more to seek a bigger picture on racism in America meant that little by little the truth would be told, even if it wasn't honored. That a report was filed citing no casualties. That police desperately tried to connect Breonna to the drug dealer that they sought in vain. That the DA's office refused to request indictments for any charges related to Breonna's death, even when jurors requested information about it. That so many people wanted so badly to sweep this under the rug. History will have something to say about this Louisiana Police Department, even if the present has rendered its decision. And one reason for this is because we do have a video of another horrifying incident in Chicago that thankfully did not result in a death. Anjanette Young's home was raided by 20 police officers in the middle of the night back in 2019. They too were looking for a drug dealer but raided the wrong home. Young was left handcuffed and naked for an hour while she pleaded with officers that they had the wrong home, that she was a social worker. While she did survive, that is a trauma that will never leave her. It's so far removed from what I could even imagine as an experience that could stumble into my home, that it seems impossible for many to believe this level of dehumanization is common in police departments. And yet, there was a time when it seemed inconceivable that the earth revolved around the sun. After all, it was the sun that moved from where we were standing. But now we know better. Now we know our eyes are deceptive, that they must wait for the darkness to reveal the truth. The darkness is illuminating because it gives us the opportunity to use different muscles, to believe not just the wisdom written in our hearts, but hold as equal the wisdom encoded on the experiences of all of our Black and brown siblings. We may be turned away from the sun, from our center, but we're turned toward the other stars, toward each other. And that's what the solstice represents today. That in the darkness, empathy, not vision, is our guide. And in the darkness, even as we are isolated, we are more interconnected than ever before because we have the ability to really and truly listen. The late Reverend Dr. Katie Cannon, one of the founders of womanism, tells a story in an essay called Surviving the Blight about how her family would hush together during a thunderstorm. In their silence, they would feel the power of the storm resonate through their bodies, and eventually it would lead them to be moved to prayer and storytelling about their power. We have an opportunity to take these lessons about police brutality to heart in a newfound way. As hard as it is for many in our community to engage the topic, it is time to discuss what it means to defund the police and refund community care. Because this system is designed to incentivize violence and criminalize people of color, regardless of whether they've committed a crime. And decentering the stories of white experience means centering the people of color who are saying the path forward looks very different than we envision. Even if most of us cannot imagine police breaking into our homes or even seeing police as a symbol of oppression rather than protection. Trusting the darkness means allowing the stories of our Black and brown siblings to guide us in seeking the bigger picture, to be relational like the stars. That's what true empathy does. It will call us to revolve around each other's needs. And that is why I do have faith in our ability to transform in the darkness, because it's truly a communal effort. And it's a force that we might not see, but is very much there, guiding our movement towards each other. Having turned from the sun, each story we hear, each story we take to heart is a star we have found. And this solstice, I pray that 2020, a year steeped in darkness, is finally the year we saw things clearly, because we didn't just look with our eyes. As the storm grew and a powerful hush rose within, our country finally said, now is the time to see the night sky in the darkness, to live into our power and face the darkness of our nation. There will be rest, but the stars keep moving, and we must too. Bless this long night with the wisdom of darkness, to carry empathy's vision into 2021. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.